It turned out they had gone and withdrawn $100,000 in cash, literally putting it in a briefcase and taking it home.
This is the true story of four Gen X classmates.
Reuniting decades later in a rented beach house to share what really happens.
When aging parents, estate planning, leaving behind a legacy, and nursing home care collide.
A nurse, a zoning and planning employee with nursing home experience, a banker, and an estate planning attorney, talking about the stuff nobody told us about, but everyone needs to hear.
This is Gen X Conversations.
But it's that loss of control. Most people aren't willing to do that until they see that there's an issue. And hopefully by the time they're seeing an issue, it's, yeah, we're going to have 5 years. Otherwise, we have other more aggressive things that we can do to shift stuff and move money here and turn this into this. And it becomes a whole other thing, a whole other quantum leap over estate planning with a trust. Because revocable trust, you keep control of everything. So they're not running into that issue. Do you see the giving up control as probably one of the biggest factors?
Probably 90% of.
You're gonna take all my money and throw me in a nursing home. I can remember my grandparents
Yeah.
thinking that
You
years
just
ago. And
yeah.
nobody would throw any. Well, I think most people that love parents, grandparents, are not gonna throw anybody anywhere. It would
Right.
only be if it was medically necessary. But the idea that somebody else is gonna make that decision about when I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know, I know my mother-in-law, for 2 years after my father-in-law died, we knew the house was gonna be too much, we knew the yard was gonna be too much, and it was encouraging her to, let's move closer to us so we can, you know, if you still wanna stay in the house, that's fine, or how about senior living with my parents and over 55? Nope, I'm not ready, I'm not this. And then it's just this impulsive, well, I'm lonely and this is getting tougher and I've fallen 11 times, let's just do it. And it's this big rush, it's not planned, it's sloppy, I know money's getting wasted that shouldn't have been, and it's just, how do you get them there when they're afraid that it's that fear, like you said, the loss of control of the money. They can't control getting older, they can't control the changes that are happening to them, so this is the only thing I can control, but it's the thing that they probably
Shouldn't be control.
No, it's gonna give them more freedom, more, comfort knowing that my money's gonna be, as much of it as I can protect, I'm gonna protect, and I can pass it on. And by the time they realize that, when it's too late, it's kind of sad, because it's like, that ship has sailed, don't worry about it, Mom, but you wish you could convince them now, which is what we're trying to do. But it makes you think about your own children. I know I've had that discussion with my husband. It's like, we're not any better. We have, I think we have a living will and we have like the regular will, and that's it. And the kids know where they are, but we're trying to be more open with them of what accounts we have. They're not in control of it yet, but at least they know it exists and where everything is, and trying to teach them of, maybe you should start thinking about this while you're young so you can build up wealth and what to do when you get to that. They don't teach this in high school.
No.
Like anything with your
They
finances or how to do estate planning, so to speak, even on a small scale. I don't remember anything like that, so.
But we still know that mitochondria is the powerhouse. So,
I'm very glad we learned about parallelograms, because that comes in really handy during tax
I'm
season.
telling you.
yeah. So yeah, it's the giving up control is a huge issue. Do you think, with your mother-in-law seeing what the costs are now, if she knew that 2 years ago, she might have done something with the irrevocable trust, or do you think she still would have been, what's that Italian word you said for stubborn?
Cabadost.
Would she
Thick-headed.
still be
Yep.
thick-headed?
Yeah, and there's the drag in the feet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem, there's no haste, and what's the rush, and why do we have to, it's not a comfortable thing for older people to talk about, but
Yeah.
I think she'd be in a better place right now. She would already been established. We could have visited her even more instead of spending all our time fixing things in her house and all the things she can no longer do for herself.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I mean, think about any of us. If you're attached to your home where you live, if all of a sudden now, guess what? You can't live there anymore,
Right.
and we're gonna do all this, and we're gonna take over your money. That's a scary thing.
Yeah.
But like you said, that questionnaire hopefully makes it less scary, because it's tangible. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, it makes them even self-aware. What do I have? And I do want to protect this, and I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Very easy to just put it out of your mind until you absolutely have to, and that's the worst time to, now I gotta scramble to try and figure this out, pay bills, and then try to avoid probate, which is gonna be almost probably impossible. And like you said, Medicaid, the 5-year thing, 2 years ago, it's like, it'd already be 2 years in to protect these assets.
Yeah, and then you don't only have to figure out how do you pay for the next 3 years before it could shift over to that.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's...
If you think it's important for educational videos like this to get out there, then please help us out by subscribing to the channel.
Even my clients who have their kids kind of come to me almost in an emergency, and then talking with the parents, I don't know, even if they knew what they knew, they still would have kept control. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
It is a big thing. There's so much that can be done too, but I want to specifically ask if you've heard any of these conversations either in the bank or in the nursing home where maybe they're talking about the finances with the, with the kids, and it's, well, I guess we're just going to have to spend everything until Medicaid takes over. Have you heard any of that stuff or overheard any of that stuff?
Yes, I have.
So did those questions kind of seem to come from an area of frustration with the parents and the kids and whatnot?
Yes and no on the frustration part. Some of it is, I know I'm going down, or I know I have such and such illness, so I'm going to go spend everything before everybody else gets my money. So I see huge withdrawals from the bank. I see huge, and I don't necessarily know exactly what they're doing with the money. And when we have to ask, due to a large withdrawal, they'll just say, oh, I'm going on vacation. Oh, I'm buying a car. Oh, I'm doing this or that. But you know that they're either A, scurrying to try to hide the money, or B, they really are spending it because they don't want it to go to the kids or to Medicare or to anything legal. So they want to spend it all on themselves.
Well, and that's also something that people don't realize. They know everything. Medicaid knows everything. Well, why? Because when you sign that application, you're consenting to them looking into all those banking and other types of records so they see. Now, we did this planning, it's definitely 10, 12 years ago. Financial advisor saw everything that was coming with the parents. Dementia ran in the family and whatnot, and so she sent the daughter and the parents, and we did that two-trust thing. The biggest thing wasn't necessarily the money, it's that they had, I think, 5 properties inside the city limits in Greensboro. So it's like, yeah, that's only gonna go up. Let's at least move that stuff and move the money that we want to protect into the trusts, get the 5-year clock started. We did that. Okay, here's what you move into the trust. Your daughter's going to be in charge of it. She can take money out for you if you need it in an emergency. But the other thing I find is most people, their spending kind of adapts to whatever their income is coming in. So usually they're not spending more than what's coming in every month. So it's like only, well, there's an emergency. Okay, well, we can pull money out of the trust then to do that. About a week and a half after all that money was supposedly moved into the trust and put under the control of the financial advisor, the daughter calls me up and she says, Jeff, I don't know what to do. What? I'm at my parents' house. I'm finding $100 bills stuffed into books, in coffee cans, and cereal boxes.
And pipes.
It turned out they had gone and withdrawn $100,000 in cash, literally putting it in a briefcase and taking it home. And it's like, Medicaid's gonna see it. It's not hidden just because you did it before you applied for Medicaid. They're gonna know. And so we reset the clock for the next month, and they got all the money and just deposited it with the financial advisor. And it's like, okay, well, you wasted 1 month. That's not bad. If she had found this 4 years in and they were ready to apply, it's like, no, you gotta wait. So, yeah, that giving up control is a big thing. It makes people do weird things. All right, so tell me, we've talked an awful lot about the control and the Medicaid limits and things like that. What are your kind of concerns? Maybe not about the parents, but about us, our generation.
Mm-hmm.
If I posted this, a little link to these videos to our Mount St. Charles class Facebook group, what do you think a lot of them are gonna say? Oh, here's what I'm worried about.
That I didn't think about this because we, although we're taught different things, because our parents were secretive, well, not mine, but because most parents were secretive about money, we never learned to even think about our own money.
Yep.
And think about what we need to do to protect our own assets, because
Mhm.
this is a awakening call for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people have wills in place, which is, you know, a good thing, but in terms of deeper estate planning and protecting your assets long-term, I don't know if anyone's done that. I know personally, I hadn't until it became an issue with the with the parents and stuff, and after a while it finally clicked. It's like, you know, which is what prompted us to do a will, but you know, I've watched a lot of your videos and it's like, maybe we should be doing stuff like this with the trust, and the earlier that you do it,
The better off you are.
in
Yeah.
some aspects, yes, and to just kind of plan for long-term care. Do you have a plot? Do you have, you know, life insurance? Do you have, you know, these different, I don't wanna get off topic with some of these things, but I don't think we have everything in place
I
that we
don't think-
probably should.
I don't have anything in place. I can be honest with you right now, with dealing with children and adult parents. I haven't had time to think about anything yet, and you know, and
But something could happen tomorrow.
it could,
you know.
absolutely. And what would I do? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I've had conversations with my oldest son, you know, who right now, his thought process, I like his thought process, but things could change in a few years. You know, he loves my house. He wants to keep the house. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, he can have it, you know, and when he's ready to take it over and he wants to start doing things around the house, then just let us live there until we die. And he's also 22 years old right now, and he could meet a girl in a year and a half, and all of that could change. So,
Well, that brings an
Who
interesting
knows?
topic, because if, you know, you're trusting your children, that's great. What if they don't marry well,
right,
get
Yeah.
divorced, and if they're in charge of your trust, is that something that, you know,
that'll be a
spouse,
concern.
you know, could get half of, so to
Yep.
speak, you know, I'm not sure.
I think
Well, that
We had a
actually opens up
story of that.
a whole other question, because I do have a lot of clients, and this is the storytelling part of it. There is a way that you're not leaving everything, say, to your kids outright. We're setting it up. You can avoid probate, use a revocable living trust, but instead of assets going directly out to the kids, they go to asset management trusts, where your kids aren't actually the trustees overseeing it, but they're the beneficiaries.
Hmm.
And so this is what it's designed to protect against, although when I talk about it with the kids, oh, it's lawsuit protection, it's bankruptcy, so all this other stuff, what if you become disabled? No, they don't know if their son-in-law and daughter-in-law is gonna be a total dick and end up trying to steal their money and get divorced. But this happens all the time. There's this influx of money from the inheritance, and the spouse starts whispering in their ear, oh honey, now we can get the dream house we've always wanted, and we can just go out and find it, let's get a realtor, and they, oh, okay, yeah, let's go ahead, let's do that. And then the realtor's like, okay, we'll start looking, do you need a mortgage? And the spouse is like, oh no, we're paying cash. Okay. They find the house, the realtor sends the paperwork to the closing attorney. Yeah, here's a husband and wife, they're buying this house together, and it's gonna be cash, so no mortgage, and so, oh, well, let's prepare the paperwork, and blah, 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 and here it is, and the titling on the house is called tenancy by the entirety.
Yeah.
Tenancy by the entirety is basically joint with the right of survivorship for a married couple.
Right.
Okay. So they buy the house, they move in, and then used to feel bad about this, but I don't anymore. They joke, the wife or the husband starts taking up with the personal trainer, they're having an affair, they're running all over town, and this is a divorce thing, and that spouse comes up and says, I want a divorce and I want half the house. And they go, but all that money came from my parents. That should be my house. And, well, I talked with a divorce attorney and you commingled it. Once they get the money, you can do whatever you want with it. And in this case, they gifted half to that spouse by putting both their names on the house. So I used to feel bad about personal trainers and using that as an example because there are a lot of good people out there that are personal trainers, but then it happened to a good friend of mine that his wife took up with the personal trainer, they got a divorce, and it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I'm going to make fun of the personal trainers. But that whole situation changes if the money goes into that asset management trust. Oh, we want to buy the dream house. The trustee's not going to say, oh, here's the hundreds of thousands of dollars, go buy it. No, you're paying cash. The trust will buy the house. And now it also has the virtue of being protected against lawsuits and bankruptcy and all this other stuff. It's a protected asset. And so when the spouse takes up with the personal trainer, starts running around, I want half the house, and you get to say, I don't even own the house. The trust does. And by the way, I talked with the trustee, here's your eviction papers. You got 30 or 60 days to get your stuff and get out. You're not getting a cent of it. And they're not.
Who manages the asset trust? Who manages that one?
Whomever you appoint.
Okay.
Now, let's just say you've got 3 kids. They're all responsible except maybe in their decision of who their spouses are going to be. Very typically, my clients will put like siblings or friends or family members at the first, maybe the second level, and then it's okay, we're going to go down because we're going to have more than just the 3 usual people in succession that we're talking about, because this is meant to go your kid's whole life. They'll have the other 2 kids somewhere in that trustee list for that first child's trust, and then for the second child, first and third are somewhere in that list. And so they're looking out for each other. If they've got that kind of relationship, great. There's also the possibility of having a trust company, but once you have that, the trust company is going to get expected to pay a percentage of the assets. Look, if it saves it, it's worth it. But if you've got people you trust, they're not charging 1.25%, 1.5% of the assets every year just to manage it. But put that trust company in at the bottom of the list. And now they're looking out for it. And then at the end of that line, it's going to the grandkids. Or if there are no grandkids, it's going to the other 2 trusts. So it's staying within your family, not great. Going to the spouse, even at death. So I did a whole bunch of these after the COVID lockdowns ended, because I had my clients coming and saying, I didn't know how mean or vindictive my son-in-law or daughter-in-law was. I didn't know they were this much of a snake in the grass. It might be divorce, it might not, but I am just not comfortable leaving all this stuff to my kid, knowing they might be able to influence them. We added on those asset management trusts in that estate setup to protect the kids and to protect that. So it's also protecting the grandkids. So yeah, that's just a setup that we haven't used. And we've used it quite a bit. Maybe not initially, but some triggering thing happens somewhere along the way with the son-in-law or daughter-in-law, and we add it on for a lot of my clients. So that's just one way to protect it.
That's great.